Everyone, this is Allie Katz, and I am the founder of Eyes Wide Open Life. We're talking today about the next big crisis you don't even see coming and what to do about it now. So stay tuned for that. You might be seeing this on my page called Alexis Neely, which is my old name. Facebook hasn't let us update that yet. You might be seeing this in Eyes Wide Open Tribe, our private Facebook group, or you might be seeing this on YouTube. So do me a favor and let's start by you posting a comment and letting me know, where are you seeing this broadcast? If you are here live with us, post a comment, let me know. And if you want me to know your name, you will need to sign into StreamYard so that I can see that. And we're going to be talking today about the next big crisis you don't even see coming and what you can do about it now. And this is so critically important right now because there is a big crisis coming. Whether it is a big crisis out there or a big crisis in here, crisis is coming, and it is critically important that you don't try to avoid it. It is critically important that you don't try to avoid it. That will make it worse. I've dealt with a lot of crisis throughout my life, and each and every time, it's been a huge opportunity. It's been a huge opportunity because of the way that I have dealt with it, because of the way that I have faced it, and I'm going to share that with you today. Okay? So first, though, I want to know, where are you joining us? Are you joining us on my Alexis Neely page? That's my old name. I'm Allie Katz now. I haven't had a name change. Or are you in the tribe, the private Eyes Wide Open tribe? And if you're not yet, you can get on in there. It's free. And we'll post a link to that on the Alexis Neely broadcast page. Or are you on YouTube? Let me know that here in the comments. And yes, I've got my curly hair today. You're seeing my natural hair. This is it. This is what I look like when my hair is not, all whatever, All right, it seems like my team is frantically messaging me about something. Let's see if I can find out what that is. All right, I'm going to pause that so that I can be here totally present with you. All right, well, I see that there's a lot of you here, but only a few of you commenting. So let me know, where are you seeing this? Alexis Neely page, YouTube, Eyes Wide Open Tribe. And I think there might be a lag, so that might be part of what's happening. All right, so what we're going to be talking about today is, and if you're not yet in the tribe, let me actually put this up on the screen so that if you want to get into the tribe, you can see how to do that. Because it's free. You just have to ask to join and answer some questions. You do have to answer the questions, though. If you don't answer the questions, we're not going to let you in. And the reason for that is that this tribe group it's a private group. It's free, but it is private because we're sharing things in there that really aren't for the public, right? There's certain things that are for the public. There's certain things that are private. And yes, I know that everything is being tracked on Facebook and all of that, but what I mean is like the public discourse. There's some things that we can't talk about in the public discourse right now about really what's going on behind the scenes. And we need a safe space. And we need a safe space where we can really reveal what's going on in our lives. And so part of that is, how do we be prepared for crisis? How do we be prepared for crisis? Well, community. Being in community is a huge part of how we be prepared for crisis. So a big reason that I've been able to make it through each of the crises that I have in the way that I have is because of the way that I've cultivated community. Now, I will say that this was not always the case. I was not always great at being in community. I didn't have a community really up until, I would say, 2012, all the years have now melded together, but I started creating community and cultivating community for myself in a way in 2009. Before that, I really felt mostly alone. What I did have before that was a very tight-knit community of some very, 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 people that were very close to me. But that didn't feel secure. That didn't really feel secure. And one of the most important things that I have learned how to cultivate to be able to face crisis is I've learned how to cultivate community. And while it might seem a lot harder to be in community now, it's actually not. It's not harder to be in community now. So if you have that belief that it is a lot harder to be in community now, let's shift that. Let's absolutely shift that for you, because it is more important than ever for you to be in community now. So let's just, go back many years to when I didn't know how to be in community. I felt extremely alone. I had graduated law school, become a mom, gotten married, moved to a new place. So I was living in Redondo Beach, California. I was commuting an hour to the law firm that I was working at each day, Munger, Tolles & Olson, started by Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's personal lawyer. And I didn't fit in either reality that I was living in. I didn't fit in at the big law firm. There was no other moms that were also associates. I didn't fit in back in our community among all of the moms, the stay-at-home moms with kids, because I was a working mom. And I didn't fit in with my neighbors. And I felt incredibly alone, incredibly lonely. And I didn't know that what I was looking for was community. I didn't even know what community was. Had I thought that that's what I was looking for, I might have thought that I couldn't have it. Ultimately, it did take about, counting the years, 5-6 years before I discovered that that's what I was really looking for. And then it took me another 5-6 years to be able to learn how to cultivate that. I want to shortcut that process for you significantly, because as we go into these next set of crises together, you being in community, even if that's just an online community, it doesn't have to be an in-person community, is going to be critical for you to be able to face that crisis. So when we talk about crisis, the next crisis that you don't know is coming and what to do about it now, let's talk about what I even mean there. What am I even talking about when I'm talking about crisis? Well, first of all, let me just check in and see, do you know? Can you sense that there is a crisis coming? And I don't mean the one that we all know about, right? I don't mean the one that we know that we're in the middle of a crisis right now. That's obvious. We're in the middle of a crisis right now. We're in the middle of a collective crisis right now. But can you sense that maybe there's an internal crisis coming for you? Maybe you're in the middle of that internal crisis right now. Maybe you don't even like to think about crisis, because doing so just gets you freaked out. And so what are you doing instead? What are you doing instead of facing it? And that's really what I want to support you to do. I want to support you to recognize that every crisis is our greatest opportunity to be more of who we really are. And so the very best thing that you can do in the midst of, or as you are getting ready to, or looking at the reality that a crisis is coming, is stop thinking that crisis is something to run away from. Crisis is not something to run away from. Crisis is actually something to run towards, to see it as an opportunity. So as a result of my ability to cultivate the ability to run towards crisis, with community being one source of support for me to do that, though I learned how to do it before I ever had real community. During this most recent crisis, as soon as COVID hit in March, there was no need for me to collapse. In fact, my ability to meet that moment was stronger than most people's. As a result of that, my company has had its best year yet so far, and that's after 3 years of sustained growth that allowed us to hit the Inc. 5000 list 3 years in a row, right? 63% growth, then 99% growth, then 154% growth, and this is our best year yet in the midst of a pandemic. Why? Because of how I've learned how to face crisis. I want this for you. I want this for you. I want you to be ready to step up in the face of your next crisis, whatever that is. Whether it is the big crisis that we're all collectively going through or the little crisis that is likely to come up in your life. So all of these little crises prepared me for this big crisis, and it's the same thing that is happening for you right now. You are being prepared right now, and depending on how you relate to that crisis and how you prepare for that crisis will depend on how you can meet the moment. And that's really what it's about. It is about meeting the moment. It is about meeting the moment. How are you going to be prepared to meet the moment of crisis when it arrives in your life? Will you have prepared in advance, or are you holding some sort of a mind belief that says, oh, well, if I prepare for a crisis, then I'm calling the crisis in? No, that's false. If you prepare for the crisis, you're preparing to be prepared properly for what is coming. Because crisis is always coming. Crisis is always on its way. Crisis is not something to avoid. It's something to be ready for. It's part of life. Part of life is struggle. We get to choose the struggles that we choose to engage with. But life isn't going to stop providing you with struggle, right? So you either choose the struggles, you either choose the crises that you're preparing for, or you get blindsided. Or you get blindsided. Now, you can certainly learn a tremendous amount by getting blindsided by crisis. It is how I learned to face crisis. I got blindsided by one crisis after another, one crisis after another. You can read about those, if you'd like to read about them in detail, in a document I wrote called The Lift Manifesto. If you'd like to read about those crises at the same time as preparing for your own next crisis, I have a resource for you. It's called the Eyes Wide Open, it's called the Lift Business Confidence Assessment. You can take it even if you're not in business for yourself. I put it up here on the screen. Perhaps my team will post the link in the comments. It's at eyeswideopenlife.com/assessment. Yes, one of our commenters here says, one of my favorite axioms, trust in Allah, but tether your camel. Yeah. Yeah, trust in Allah, but tether your camel. Good idea. Right? Because something is coming. And so if you want to be a true leader in your life, if you want to be a true leader in your company, whether you are the leader, or a leader, you prepare. You prepare. You don't pretend that nothing is coming. So I'm seeing my team is saying that my audio doesn't sound good. So Martha, let me know if it helps if I bring the mic closer to my face. It'll just be in the frame, which is okay. Maybe that's fine. I've got my natural hair on today. Maybe y'all can know that I have an actual mic here too. Let me know if that works. If it does, we'll keep it like this for the rest of our time together. There's a little bit of a lag here, so when I ask a question, I need to wait for y'all to answer it. Okay, you can hear me just fine. Great. So oh, it sounds like the mic is not on. It's definitely on. Yep, it's definitely on. Oh, do I have the right? Yep, it's definitely on. Okay, we'll have to check that out for next time. So I apologize if we're having some mic issues here. Let me just see if I go to, you are right.
Let's see if that makes it any better. I wasn't using my mic. So let's see if that works. All right, Deborah says it's fine. So we can see this as an example, by the way. A crisis. This is a very tiny crisis. People can't hear me well on the Facebook Live. A super tiny crisis. And yet, how would you handle that crisis? Are you letting the possibility of a crisis like that keep you from bringing your work out into the world, from creating a company? Okay, Mila says it can be further. Are you allowing the possibility of a crisis, no matter how tiny, like the wrong mic, to no matter how big, like the reality of our potential extinction as a people, are you allowing that potentiality for crisis to keep you from moving forward into your next step? And if so, what does that look like for you? What is the potentiality for that crisis keeping you from doing right now? What is that mind spin, the chatter about that possible crisis keeping you from moving into right now? And what are you doing with that? What are you doing with that? Perhaps you are avoiding it, distracting yourself from thinking about it, watching TV, or talking about things that you're going to do but not doing them. Maybe you're beating yourself up. What are you doing with it right now? How are you either avoiding crisis or moving towards crisis? So, what you can do right now to consider the next crisis that is coming and to be prepared for it is, first of all, to get into community. That's why we've created Eyes Wide Open Tribe as a free group. That's why we've created Eyes Wide Open, the membership, as a paid group where we can support you to be better prepared for your next crisis, to keep moving forward in spite of your next crisis. We are creating safe spaces for community online because we know that people can't get together right now in person. Okay? So that's the very first thing that you can do. You can get into community. The second thing that you can do is you can begin to surface what's going on inside of you. So keeping everything inside, not surfacing those thoughts, will oftentimes put you in a space of distortion. Will oftentimes put you or keep you in a space of distortion. It's really hard to see and know what's really true when we're trying to figure it all out alone up in our heads. I spent years posting my private thoughts publicly on Facebook in ways that weren't really safe, But I did that because I needed the reflection back. I needed to not be alone up here trying to make sense of what was going on up here because there was a great deal of distortion. So when I shared publicly my innermost thoughts and feelings on Facebook in a very not safe way, and then I got reflected back a whole wide range of projections and reflections, I was able to learn to sort through and discover my own truth in the process. That helped me prepare for crisis. be able to meet the moment of crisis, because ultimately what I want to support you to do is to be prepared for the next big crisis you don't know is coming by supporting you to learn to meet the moment. So that in the moment of that crisis, you're able to move into rapid action, not stay in the trauma state of freeze, fight, or flight, and do whatever you do habitually from the lizard brain, but instead face it, eyes wide open, move towards it and into it, and allow that crisis to be your greatest opportunity yet. To allow that crisis to be your greatest opportunity ever. For you to see that crisis as the moment you have been waiting for your entire life, the moment you've been being prepared for your entire life. A Facebook friend of mine recently had a stroke. And in the moment of that crisis, his wife was able to leap into action and get him to the hospital and then get onto a prayer line that they had actually been a community that they had actually been cultivating for some time. As a result of that, he was within 24 hours speaking again after the doctor said that he would not speak again. He would not speak again. They'd never seen a recovery like that before, ever. That crisis was an opportunity for a miracle because of how they were prepared. Did they know that they were preparing for the crisis of his stroke? They did not know that. They could not have known that in advance. And yet they made the investments and they made the choices that allowed them to be prepared in the moment of crisis to see it as the opportunity for a miracle. So, how are you preparing now for the next big crisis that you don't even see coming? Get into community. We would love to invite you to join us in the Eyes Wide Open community, either as a starting place in our free tribe group, and you can join us in the free tribe group. I'm going to put that up on the screen now by going to Facebook and joining the tribe. This link probably won't work for you, so you could search Eyes Wide Open Tribe on Facebook. And if you are already in the tribe and ready to go deeper and get real support, then you can join us in the membership. It's at eyeswideopenlife.com. The membership, we are in the middle of an open enrollment period for that right now. And we'd love for you to join us there, love for you to become part of the community there, a community of people who are preparing by getting structural integrity in their lives with their income, putting in place the legal, insurance, financial, and tax systems that they need from an eyes wide open perspective, with an eyes wide open lens, building the support systems and structures that are really, frankly, required for us to be able to move forward no matter what happens out there, so that when it is time to move resources out of the old system and into a new system, you're prepared to do that, right? We're hearing a lot of things out in the world about potentially moving to a cashless society. What does that mean to you? It's pretty obvious that there's going to be a big stock market crash coming very soon. We don't know how soon that very soon is, but it could be tomorrow. It could be 6 months from now. It could be after the election. It could be a year from now. But it's obvious that a stock market crash is coming. Are you going to be prepared for that? Or are you going to collapse when it happens? We know that the election itself is likely to create a crisis of some sort. We don't know what that's going to be. Is it going to be revolution or is it going to be evolution? We don't know, but are you going to be prepared for it? Are you going to have your own house in order when that happens? For those of us here in the US, are you already starting to make plans to be able to feel safe where you are, or to be able to leave where you are if that's necessary? Are you making these choices with your eyes wide open, or are you making them alone in your head from a place of fear, from a place of scarcity? Now is the time to start to excavate whatever's going on in here that could lead you to make poor decisions at the moment of crisis. We don't want you making poor decisions at the moment of crisis. We want you to make eyes wide open decisions in the moment of crisis whenever that comes. So that means getting into a community of people, ideally both online and offline, that are going to be able to support you to see clearly in that moment of crisis. In that moment of crisis when in the past you might have either froze, fled, or fought, right? Those are what we do in the moment of crisis if we're operating from trauma, if we're operating from the blindness, if we're operating in what we call an eyes wide shut way. Eyes wide shut, it looks like you're conscious. You might even think that you're conscious. You might even think that you're making eyes wide open decisions. But what are you doing? You're operating from the conditioning. Yes, this fawn piece. I see that one of you is commenting here, although I can't see who. Yes, the fawn piece is new for me. I'm just learning about fawn. So what do we do when we're making eyes wide shut decisions? Freeze, fight, flight, flee, or this fawn thing? I think that fawn thing is like we act cute. Oh, right? We're acting cute. If that's how you are responding to crisis right now, it's time to stand up. It's time to get yourself into a place of what we call empowered sovereignty. It's time for you to learn how to meet the moment. Right. No more people pleasing, no more avoiding conflict, no more playing into harmony, no more not being real. It's time to get your shit together. Or some of you like to say, get your shift together. Okay. And so that means getting into a safe community where you can start to open your eyes, where you can start to make eyes wide open decisions. And part of being in that community might be excavating and sharing what has not felt safe to share, so that we can laser pinpoint the places that you've got to shore up your infrastructure and your systems, so that when that crisis comes, whatever that crisis is, you're prepared to meet the moment. You're prepared to meet the moment. And you're going to meet that moment like an adult, with maturity, with grace, able to keep your heart open, able to rely on the community that is there for you, so that you don't need to freeze, you don't need to fight, you don't need to flee, and you don't need to fawn. Okay, so that's my invitation to you today. My invitation to you today is to step up. You can join us for free in the Eyes Wide Open Tribe. If you want to go deeper and get real support, you can join us in Eyes Wide Open, the membership. We've created it to give you all of the best resources that I have for you to step up and build that structural integrity, whether you're doing it yourself or doing it with advisors, but you're fully able to show up with your eyes wide open. With your eyes wide open. when it comes to building your life and your income, making sure that you have what you need, making sure that your family has what they need, making sure that your extended community has what they need in the face of this next crisis that's coming, whatever it is, whether it is tiny or large. We need you to meet the moment, not freeze, fight, flee, or fawn. Okay? So, yeah, I see somebody saying there's attend and befriend trauma response as well. Hard to bypass the survival response of the brain and nervous system. For some, seems impossible. For others, takes therapy, practice, role play. So, therapy, practice, role play, all really important. And the very practical steps that you can take on the 3D level to make the changes internally is you can show up for yourself. You can take the steps. This is why at Eyes Wide Open we teach about legal, insurance, financial, and tax systems. Because you taking the steps to align your legal, insurance, financial, and tax systems in your life and around your income are the steps that you can take to make rapid progress in the real world, in the 3D world, in this current reality, in this now moment, to face your trauma, to deal with your trauma in a really healthy adult way. You are an adult now. You don't have to continue to be a victim to the trauma. Instead, you can step up and make choice. Life will force you otherwise, one way or another, you will either get forced or you will get to choose. And the invitation here is to choose into Eyes Wide Open decision making. Eyes Wide Open decision making. To choose into being part of a community that will help you to take the actual actions of structural integrity that will show those little traumatized parts of you, the young parts of you, that you are on the field. You are here. You are an adult. You are showing up. And you are the one that's in charge. And when that little young traumatized part of you knows that that is true and can see the evidence of your actions, it will feel safe. It will feel safe. It won't need to freeze, fight, flee, or fawn, because the adult is here. The adult is here. So how do you prepare for the next big crisis? You become the adult now. You stop making your choices from the freeze, fight, flee, fawn. And you become the adult now. And what does it look like to become the adult now? You do the actions of adulting. You get your legal, insurance, financial, and tax shit in order. Because that's what adulting is in this current reality. You learn how to work within the system and to use the tools of the system that have been created so that you are actually ready to make the eyes wide open decisions when it's time to step into the new system. Because that's coming too. So that you can start to recognize where the programming is running the show and break free of it. But otherwise, what will happen is you will be co-opted by the programming. You will not be able to see through it. You will not be able to know what is actually true. And then that young, traumatized part inside of you will not trust you. That young, traumatized part of you will not trust you. And it's right not to trust you, because you haven't taken the adult actions to show that young, traumatized part that you are trustworthy. So the call to action here is to become trustworthy, not even to the outside world, to yourself. Begin to take the actions that you need to take to show yourself that you can show up, that you can be an adult, that you can trust yourself. Turns out that eyes wide open decision making is a really good way to do that. Getting your legal, insurance, financial, and tax shit together with your eyes wide open so that you can use the resources that you have available to you right now, your time, energy, attention, and money, beyond the money dysmorphia, beyond the programming, beyond the conditioning, is a really great way to be ready to meet the crisis of the next moment, whatever that crisis is, so that you don't have to go in to the trauma response. So you don't have to operate from the trauma response. Instead, you're able to take right aligned action as clearly as possible, by the way, while staying connected to your heart. Because if we look at the people out in the world who are the most successful, what do you think that they have in common? Many of them have abandoned their hearts. And when I'm talking about the most successful, I'm talking about the most successful in our traditional sense of success. They have plenty of money. They're using their time, energy, and attention in full alignment with what they choose. They are in control, right? What do they have in common? Many of them have abandoned their hearts. They live in their minds, and they're able to use the power of their mind to create reality. For those of us that are very connected with our hearts, that can sometimes be difficult to do, because from our hearts, we are actually living very frequently in a trauma response. Our inner children have not been met by ourselves. And so it can seem very difficult to move big projects forward, to gather teams together, to say yes to the reason that we're here. And now it's time. It's time to bring it all together. It's time for you to heal the trauma and to be able to do your great work in the world, whatever that is, in your right role, and to be able to participate fully in what is happening. Not from the traumatized response, but from your adult self. Recognizing that nobody's doing anything to you. Everybody's giving you an opportunity to be more of who you really are. So the invitation here is to join us at Eyes Wide Open. Join us in the membership. That's really the way to go. You can go to eyeswideopenlife.com, the membership. It includes weekly coaching calls, group support, where you can see others doing the deep work to excavate and integrate, to show up for themselves as adults, to model for you what it looks like, to both be prepared to meet the moment and to turn every crisis into an opportunity, and to keep moving forward in the midst of the crisis. In the midst of the crisis. Not to avoid it, not to run from it, not to collapse in the face of it, but to show up for it, because you've actually put in place the safety system and structures. Using this current system that we're in really wisely, with your eyes wide open, to allow you to stay in your heart in a safe way, to keep your heart open. because we need that. We really need it. We really need you to keep your heart open as you experience more and more and more success out there in the world. So I do hope that you will join us at eyeswideopenlife.com, the membership. This little banner here says that we're on a waiting list. We're not on a waiting list right now. We're actually open for enrollment. When you go to the page at eyeswideopenlife.com, the membership, you're going to see our old page. It's going to be old in a day or two. We've got a new page coming that is so fantastic. I'm really excited to show it to you all, but we didn't want to wait, because we're only taking 111 new members during each open enrollment period so that we can really meet all of you as you come in, support all of you to get oriented. And I know that there's many of you who have been waiting since the last time we opened enrollment. So this is the moment that you get to meet, the moment that you get to meet yourself. We've made it super affordable. If you were to enroll in all of the programs that we give you as part of the membership, just included, it would be more than $10,000, $15,000 if you were to get all the programs plus the coaching. And we're giving it all to you for just $297 each month. With no commitment, you can quit at any time. If it's not providing value, you can leave. Before you leave, I would invite you to ask yourself if you're showing up or if you're getting triggered. If you're getting triggered, good. This is a safe place for you to get triggered and to meet that trigger. Because yes, as you're putting in place legal agreements, as you're negotiating deals, as you're about to sign contracts, as you're looking at how to protect your intellectual property, or perhaps trying to deal with your intellectual property being stolen, as you're putting in place your financial systems, this is where triggers come up. And if you're not meeting the moment of those triggers, you're not able to show up fully for life. You're not able to show up fully for that next crisis that is on its way right now. You're just not going to be able to do it. And so the invitation is that when you get triggered, you show up more. Bring it. We can meet you in it. Now, what does that trigger look like? Freeze. I do nothing. I don't know what to do, so I do nothing. The way that it used to look like for me is that every single call I had set up with my bookkeeper, I would cancel. Freeze. I didn't know what to do. So I would just cancel the calls. Oh, I got an appointment to go to. Oh, I got sick. Oh, this happened. Oh, that happened. Freeze. That also looks a lot like flight, right? That looks a lot like flight. In 2009, I was majorly up against my edge in business. I had $2 million businesses. I was collapsing under the weight of it. And so what did I do? I fought. I fired everybody on my team. I fought. I showed up every day and I cried. I did not know how to handle it. I was so triggered all the time. And I collapsed under the weight of it. Ultimately, I had to run away. Where did I go? I ran to a farm. I lived on a farm for a year so that I could figure out what the heck was going on. What the heck was going on? And what I discovered in that year is I didn't know how to show up as an adult. And yet here I was leading two businesses, and I'm trying to do it, and I'm in my trauma response, and I'm completely triggered. So I moved to a farm. I spent a year at a farm, did my healing work, decided that the right thing was to come back into the world from a healed place and learn how to be an adult in business. Learn how to put in place the legal, insurance, financial, and tax systems that are necessary. Learn how to create financial systems that are literally the best financial systems I've ever seen from anybody in business, so that I would be able to make good decisions. I would be able to use my numbers as a crystal ball for decision making. I would be able to be strategic when it was time to be strategic and stay in my heart the whole time. And I want that for you. And I want that for you. And that's what we're going to help you do at Eyes Wide Open when you join the membership. We're going to help you to meet the trauma that lives inside of you by using legal, insurance, financial, and tax systems to create the adult structure that you need to be making your choices about life and your income with your eyes wide open. Okay, I'm going to head out. Thank you all so much for being here with me today. If you are in the tribe, already, meaning that you're in our free Facebook group, Eyes Wide Open Tribe Facebook group, and you have any questions about the membership, please post them there. Please post them there. If you're not sure if this is the right next step for you in creating a life and income that you love and that is totally aligned, post them there in the tribe. If you're not in the tribe yet, then what I encourage you to do is go take our 20-point lift assessment, your 20-point lift assessment, so that you can begin to see where there might be holes in the foundation of your life and business, or life and income if you're not in business, that could be having you collapse or could cause you to collapse in the face of your next crisis, whatever that crisis is. You can do that at eyeswideopenlife.com/assessment. And if you're already in the tribe and you're ready to have the support of the membership, weekly group coaching calls, access to my CFO, access to the woman that has taken me through the process of healing much of this trauma through family constellation work, coaching calls with all of us, a private members forum, more than 15 people on our team to support you into your next step. eyeswideopenlife.com/the membership is where you join. We would love to see you there. We would love to support you to start living your life, building your income with your eyes wide open so that you can face the moment of the next big crisis, whatever that is, as an adult, as a leader, with your eyes wide open. Thanks so much, everybody. This is Allie Katz, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye-bye for now.